Okay, right. Let's look at this quickly and try and see what's going on. Today's Saturday. Uh just recording. Let's get this. I need to get this out of here. Oh dear. No. Can I just escape? And then let's go to I want to call the usual stuff. Let's talk about Bitcoin dominance first because that is important. Okay, so if we look at Bitcoin dominance on the monthly chart, so, each time you close outside the month, you tend to go one more, slightly higher, but that's the end. And then you have a big collapse, right? So, like here, if I go quickly to, um, like, I mean, this chart hasn't been around for a while, so there isn't really one yet, but that's pr probably the best one that you can use, which is here. So you can see. The, and I think we're going to form something very similar here. So in May, I expect us to top out on Bitcoin dominance and then collapse and come probably all the way down to here, which would give altcoins a big boost. So let's go to say that the weekly chart, see what quickly is happening in the weekly. So on the weekly as well, um, we're outside the KC channel. So we went outside on the 14th of April. We've done two push-ups to the upside. Normally, that's all I expect. So I'd expect us to collapse into next week on Bitcoin dominance. If we go into the daily chart, we seem to maybe starting, and this is good because what you can see here is we've closed just on the KC channel. So you can see the KC channel at 64.86. And this one closed at 64.84. So we closed on it or slightly below it, right? And then today we kind of having a kind of rejection of the KC channel. So this could be the beginning of it, of that rejection. And if you go to 12 hours, you can see that that's exactly what's happening. So we've gone outside the KC channel, we've gone slightly higher, which is the norm, and we've come back in, and now we are kind of retracing back to this place potentially. So it's looking good for Bitcoin dominance in terms of a cooling off, which will help the altcoins. Even if Bitcoin is supposed to pull down a little bit, you won't see the kind of intensity of it being as bad as historic examples have been. So this is looking good. I expect Bitcoin dominance to continue coming down, which would give altcoins a relief. Let's move on to the next one. I want to quickly have a look at Total 2. So Total 2 as well. Um, let's look at it from a monthly perspective. So we've had this bullish candle here, which is good. And I would expect more upside, but we could do a retest here, or I mean, we could even do a retest somewhere there. So we could retest somewhere around 768 billion, or we could come slightly into the middle of this here. So between here and here could be an area of interest. But it could be very shallow and it could also be here. So, I could move this to somewhere there, middle of this candle. So we've got kind of three areas of interest here, here, or here. That would be what I'd expect. And then we'll be going up way higher. So, and potentially to it might be a triple top, could be triple top. But I think we'd go slightly more higher first before we collapse. So it's looking really, really good on total three on the monthly chart. On the weekly chart, we can see we've closed in kind of like the strong territory now. We're above the 200 and we're above the 9 and we're kind of struggling at the 20. So we could do a pullback, like I said, to these zones and then continue the journey to the upside. If I do a quick fib from up here to there and see where we are. So we are the 3H2. We got to the 3A2. So we can do a retest of the 777.94, which is the 236 zone, and then continue the journey up. So this is looking good. And then let's go on to um, IBIT because I like the IBIT chart's quite important. So if you look at this is the iShares Bitcoin Trust um, from BlackRock, and as you can see, they are the big money movers. So that in the CME group, they probably move the market, and you can see that they're in a very strong territory at the moment. We've closed around 55.19. I think by the time they open, we'll probably be back a little bit, which means it creates a gap to the up. Now there is a little bit of a gap here on the chart, which potentially can be filled, but as you can see, gaps on these charts don't fill quickly. There's even a gap here. There's a little bit of a gap down here. Before we went up, they had a few gaps in here somewhere. I think was it here? Here, I mean, this is the biggest one anyway, and we didn't fill it until we went way high, right? So these gaps here, which is probably maybe a bit more profound on the weekly chart, as you can see in the daily chart, sorry. So you can see there's a gap up here, there's a gap here, and there's a gap. I don't think this is a gap, but there's a gap here as well. So, it's possible by the time they come, this gap may have been closed based on what is happening on the current Bitcoin chart, and maybe even potentially even this gap gets closed. But it's in a strong territory because we closed outside the KC channel, we went higher, and we've gone higher again. If I go to the weekly chart. Um, we're nowhere near the KC channel. So, but it is looking really strong. I think the worst case scenario on their chart probably might be that, you get something here, you get something like that, and then you continue going up. So that's a positive looking chart. And then if you go and look at the CME chart as well, we can see on the CME chart, there's a on the monthly strong candle. Again, they will come and probably we would have brought them down a little bit, which will create a gap on their chart, which means they will be keen to move price to the upside again, so which is good. Weekly chart on here looks positive. It looks really good, and you do a small retest. I wouldn't expect this to go below 90,000. If you go below 90,000 and close below 90,000, that won't be good. That won't be good at all. So hopefully we don't, but this looks really positive. Looks really, really positive chart. And then let's quickly look at what's happening on Bitcoin currently. So Bitcoin is on the weekly chart. We still having a green candle. This is the Binance perpetual chart. We're still having a green candle, which is good. And I've kind of drawn some two lines here, which is potentially, even if we have a pullback, you could be looking at, pulling back to kind of somewhere here. I would expect this maximum pullback gets us to somewhere here, which is 91,000, 90,000, somewhere there. Yeah. And then we'll be on our way. But do I think this whole candle will be erased today being Saturday? Anything is possible, but the probabilities are unlikely, in my view, very unlikely. If we go to the daily chart, you can see that the daily chart, we kind of back in the KC channel after going outside it. So, and MACD is getting weaker and weaker. So, it's potentially we could come all the way down to 93 and then down here to about 91, like I've said. So it's still looking good. This is a positive chart. The RSI hasn't changed in terms of bearishness. Our RSI is looking still positive. There's no divergences in the RSI except for MACD, which is, giving us some indication of cooling off. The daily chart, the 12 hours, there are some divergences on 12 hours. So, you go here, and then since then, we've been going down and down, and price has been going up. So there are some divergences on 12 hours, but this has not played out yet on the daily chart. So until it plays out on the daily chart, I don't really get worried at all. And anyway, when it pulls back, it will probably create a divergence number one, and then there'll be divergence number two, and it could even get divergence number three before we have a proper collapse. So this is looking positive, still very, very positive. So I expect maybe a small pullback. But on 4 hours, it's looking promising on 4 hours because from the looks of it, if this 4 hour candle closes, this will be at 6 o'clock. If it closes like this, then your chances are you're looking at kind of a double bottom, is it 95.8, 95.8. So this could be a good sign, but I think this potentially goes up to form a lower high, and then maybe you do have a kind of a correction. You do have a like here. So you get to the 20 here, and you have a big of a fake move first before you come down. So this could be it, but you know, uh yeah, this could be it. I think this could be a good push to form a lower high because on 12 hours, yeah, it could be a good push into somewhere here to knock some stop losses before you come further down. So Bitcoin looks good. It's not going to collapse. I don't think so. Worst case scenario, we get a very small pullback to 93, 91. Worst case scenario, somewhere around the, 90,000. So it's not that bad. Um, and then I want to quickly have a quick look at the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq, where's Nasdaq? Nasdaq here. So the Nasdaq closed quite positively on the weekly chart. So you can see we closed green candle and green volume. MACD is also green. So I'd expect more upside. There might be a small pullback to the 200. Um, to here. There might be a small pullback to about the middle of the KC channel, which is a 20. AMA, which is a 19,939. Somewhere there, yes, you could pull back to. I don't want to see price going below here. And the reason being, um, if price falls below this 200 moving average, that means, and it closes below, you potentially means you're changing trend, and could spell us coming all the way back down to close this gap that we created here, which is around 18.2. And that could be a retest of that trend line, the global trend line here. So that could be a retest of it, where we come all the way down and close somewhere here and then continue the journey to the upside. So it all depends on how this plays out. If I go to like 4 hours, have a look at what's happening in 4 hours, there is some divergences in play here. So all the way from here, it's been going up, RSI has been going down and down and down. So, if I say here is one move, here's another, um, you potentially could get a good pullback to that line. Yeah. Um, so yeah, pull back to this line, pull back to here, somewhere there. Um, Now, I don't think we've got any pink candles that are worrying me at the moment. Oh, there is one here. So yeah, so if we end up breaking this 200, which is likely because of these blue candles, I don't like them when there's divergences in play. But on the 8 hour chart, let's see, do we have some divergences in play? Not yet. We don't really have divergences in play at all. On 12 hours, we have no divergence in play. I think we'll probably end up having a retest of the 200, really. So, I think this thing can continue going up quite easily. It's looking just MACD giving us a flag, but um, we've just come up zero. We've had this zone here. So we had a one there and two here. So there'll be a third one. So there's more. There's more upside on it. I think there's more upside. I won't be surprised if we keep pushing up. I mean, retest the 200 on the daily, yes, and then keep pushing up would be what I would expect to happen. So I expect more upside on this, but I've got to be cautious that you could come and close this gap. So if it does collapse. Let me see whether we are in the positive territory in terms of the overall here to here. Yeah, we are about 50%. So we could retest that 50% line. And if it's successful, then we'll have more upside. So yeah, that's what I'll be expecting to see on the Nasdaq. Let's go to SPX. SPX is probably the same. So XPX is probably the same, very similar picture on the XPX. So, I would expect this to keep going up. We've already done a retest. We broke above the 200, successful retest, gone above. Now, sorry, this was the 50 EMA, and now the 200 EMA is being going to be tested. This is SMA, I think. Uh, oh, look, yeah, EMA, 20 EMA, 200 EMA going to be tested as well. So if we close just on it, that will be perfect, and then we can go and attack the 200 simple moving average, which is sitting here. So again, if we break this, then I'd expect us to come back and close this gap that we created here. If we break that, but the momentum is to the up. There's no divergences worrying me apart from even on MACD on a higher time frame, everything's still positive. So this thing has got legs to continue going up. By a small pullback, small pullback maybe small pullback to here or to here, you know, it's possible. We could do that and we'll still continue going up. So it's looking good. This is also looking good as well. So let's, yeah, but I wouldn't like price going below here as much as possible. Or even here. Um, Price going below here won't be good. If we just move this, price going below this point here won't be good. I wouldn't like to see price. I would like the 50 to hold. If it doesn't hold, then there will be more downside. So that'll be what I'm looking for. So that's XPX. I want to quickly look at a few altcoins. So tier BTC. Let's look at tier BTC and see what tier BTC is doing. So on this Bitfinex chart, yeah, we've gone lower. Well, lower against Bitcoin. The good news is obviously dominance is cooling off, so this will help it. But it's looking very weak here on this on the BTC pair. Um, on the daily, yeah, we've gone. So let's see something. Yeah, it's just free fall down, down, down against Bitcoin, which is not great. And the only thing I want to check is, do we close? If we close outside this, there'll be one more leg to the downside. And if I look at the weekly, we've kind of undone all the good work that we did here. All that good work is gone. But the good news is, I mean, if I look at this and look at that, that's a divergence between here and here. And this is also another divergence as well. So it's not that good doom and gloom. I mean, this looks good. So long as we don't close outside the KC channel, that'll be very positive. If we close outside, you're gonna get another zip to the downside. So that's that one there. Let's look at the USD pair. I want to use something else. So here on the USD pair, it's still looking positive. It looks much positive here than the Bitcoin. So you've got this here. Let me just delete this. Don't need that. You got this here. We sort of fell here. We come lower here. Lower there, and there's a divergence here, and maybe we could do lower. I think we might end up going lower. It's possible, or we might stop here. So I would say we might stop here and start going up. Alternatively, we might go double bottom here, or we will do a slightly lower figure, which will be about the 202. I'd say maybe 202. $2, maybe something there. So somewhere in these gaps, I think price will fall because that would be like a drop. Let me see what drop this will be. That's 23, that's 28. That's 33%. So if it even gets bad, you're looking at $2 or maybe just under $2, maybe 195 or something like that. So that's tier. But after this, I'd expect this to go very up, very high. So you go 4 on 4 hours. Let's see if we can get an incline. Yeah, so on 4 hours, gone oversold, closed outside the KC channel. I would expect another one. I'd expect this to go one more, at least to get to here. At the very least, I would expect that. Yeah, I'd expect this to get to this point, and that would be good because then what it would do is we would have done one, a two, and a three, and after that you tend to go up. So it's looking good. This is from here, from this perspective, it looks like here might end up holding. This end might end up holding. Um, so it's looking good so far in terms of the pullback on tier. And I want to look at say quickly. So if we look at say on a kind of higher time frame, I mean you've got even on this 4 hour chart, you got this candle which has to be exceeded. So wherever it goes, it maybe comes back to 216 somewhere here, 216. But I'd expect this candle to be exceeded. So, and I think it probably ends up coming all the way down here to this point, around 19.3, 19.4 zone before we start kicking it back up again. On the daily chart looks good. And I've got a trend line here. So I think we end up somewhere there. That'll be good. If this 50 holds support, that'll be very good. That'll be very good. If it doesn't, then you're kind of looking at this area here around the 18.3, 18.4, 18.5 zone before we kind of get going. I mean, I've drawn this area of interest box. So somewhere here, price will fall somewhere here between there and here. Then it gives you a lower high, and then off you go. So it's looking good. It's looking very good. Um, would we get all this candle erased? I doubt it, but anything is possible. I mean, today's Saturday, so if we do get this turning red, red, then this becomes a reality in terms of the area of interest. That zone will be a good area. So that's. And then Dixie, I didn't look at Dixie actually. Let's quickly have a look at Dixie. So Dixie on the weekly chart is looking positive, closed outside, gone one, two, and back into closed inside the KC band, which is a strong territory now. So we are in the band. Um, and I think I would expect more upside on Dixie to at least come all the way up to here first. So if we do a daily chart, yeah, it all looks positive. So you can expect us to hit here at some point. Whether we'll do all that next week is possible, or even we can go all the way up to this point here, and there'll be a lot of resistance here at these points. So the 800 moving average, there'll be a bit of a resistance there, and so we could then end up coming back down again. Because when I look at this, we've come here and we're rising, and we need a lower high, so we can go all the way up here and come back and do a lower high, and then continue to go, or we go for more lower prices to this trend line here, which will be around like 96. And then after that, we'll go up. So I'd expect this to go up and then come back down. Either stop here, here, or we go slightly lower, back to somewhere around the 96 zone, 95 zone, and then we continue our journey to the upside. So bit of movement to the upside on dollar early next week, and depending on when we cool off, we will be coming back down again. So that's the dollar as well. I think that's all the things I want to cover. Maybe we can quickly have a look at the gold, actually, gold as well. So gold is closed pretty bearish. You've got we've got, a green, a red candle, and a red candle, red volume. MACD is red. I'd expect more downside. So at the very least, I'd expect this to exceed 3201. So Maybe we could go up a little bit. We could do maybe 50% here before coming down, or we could even come all the way to the tops here, which would be like 3322 before coming. But I'd expect this candle to be exceeded before we go up. So whenever it bounces up, especially on the daily chart, if it does this bounce up, and I think the bounce up is probably already happened, but let's say we go back up all the way up to say 3282, that would be a great opportunity to keep to buy some shorts and wait till you exceed this and then take profit. So that'll be a good one. Good shot on that. And then we'll quickly have a look at the VIX and see what the VIX is doing. So volatility index is coming down. I think volatility index keeps coming down. I think it's gonna hit the 200, and then maybe have a small bounce and then break it. Um, I think from MACD is coming down, and you can see here that you know each time it comes, and then it goes down. And I think all this is like one level. All here, falling down here, one level. This gave us two, and this gave us three, and then we started rising up. We've done three levels to the upside. So here was one level. We moved up here too. Then we've had our three. So good pullback to the 200. Um, and then maybe break this, and then at that point, it can start, once it gets to these levels, it will get a lot of support again. So I think volatility probably cools down into the next week, which will be good for everything else. Um, so that's really good, isn't it? So I think that is about it in terms of the main coins I want to cover on this call. So um, tomorrow we'll do another video, and we stop recording.